Do 12 is on the posterior midline, below the spinous process of T3. Do 14 is on the posterior midline, below the spinous process of C7 in a depression.
Small intestine 14 is located 3 cm lateral to the inferior border of T1. Locate your T1, move 3 cm laterally. The 3 cm at this level is dictated by the medial border of the scapula. Small intestine 15 is located 2 cm lateral to the inferior border of C7. Locate your C7, use the medial border of the spine of scapula to dictate your 3 cm mark, move out 2 cm to find this point. Bladder 1 is located 1 fen medial and superior to the inner canthus of the eye. If a person scrunches up their eyes, a nice depression forms here, and that's where you're going to find bladder 1. Bladder 10 is located 1.3 cm lateral to do 15. It's 4.5 cm from do 15 to the mastoid process. So divide this area into 3 and just come a little closer to the posterior midline. You'll be on the lateral edge of the trapezius muscle. Gallbladder 1 is located very approximately half a cm lateral to the outer canthus of the eye. Palpate laterally to find the lateral orbital margin. Mark your point just on the edge of that orbital margin. Be careful not to move back into this fleshy area because there are other points here. Gallbladder 6 is located 1/4 distance between gallbladder 7 and stomach 8. Gallbladder 14 is located above the pupil looking directly forwards, 1 cm superior to the eyebrow. To locate this point you need to stand directly in front of the person, have them look forwards. Remember the distance from the centre of the glabella to the anterior hairline is 3 cm, which would enable you to calculate your 1 cm. You can locate this point in a dip that's formed when the brow starts to come away from the skull. Sanjiao 17 is located in the dip behind the earlobe. It's between the ramus of the mandible and the mastoid process. Be careful that you don't put this point on bone, it's in between the bones in a dip. Stomach 2 is located 1 cm inferior to a pupil looking directly forwards. To find this point, you'll need to stand directly in front of the person, palpate inferior to the pupil by about 1 cm, and you should feel a dip, which is the infraorbital foramen. Don't press too hard though, because there's a nerve here and it can be quite tender. Stomach 5 is located directly anterior to the angle of the mandible. So the first thing you need to do is to locate the angle of the mandible correctly. Palpate along its posterior border, inferior border, until you find where the jaw is changing direction. Then come forwards over the masseter muscle. If a person clenches their masseter muscle, you'll be able to find a nice groove just as its anterior border, and this is your stomach 5. Extra point seal hall is on the anterior midline on the glabella, directly between the medial ends of the eyebrows. Small intestine 5 is on the ulnar aspect of the wrist in depression between the triquetral bone and the head of the ulna. The small intestine channel is starting to travel more dorsally, so you can find this point between two tendons that are running across the wrist joint. Small intestine 6 is located in a groove in the high point of the styloid process of the ulna. To find this groove, rotate the arm up onto the body. When you do this, you'll find that a tendon moves out of the way to reveal a nice groove in the bone. Be careful not to come too far radial or you will come off the bone completely. Actually find this point level with the high point of the styloid process, but in that groove.